Hello and welcome to the 17th installment of my Pokemon Generation 3 ROM hacking series. The focus of this tutorial is to learn how to create custom PokéMart scripts and how to properly handle changing the player's amount of money. This video will be broken down into the following segments. How do I create a custom PokéMart? And how does the currency system work? Following these segments will be an application demonstration. In this final part, we will be creating a PokéMart that adds to its inventory as the player obtains new badges. PokéMarts may seem like a big scary thing, but they're actually pretty simple to make. What's great about them is that you don't have to worry about managing the player's money while he or she is buying or selling items. The command will do all of that for you. I'm going to assign a PokéMart script to the NPC selected on screen. All we'll have to do is interact with the NPC, then the usual PokéMart process will commence. I started the script by writing the usual lock, face player, release, and end commands. Just after face player, I used the command PokéMart. This command only takes a single parameter, which is a pointer to the store's inventory or what they're selling. Let's make the new pointer section. This part is just like an apply movement command in that we're just going to be listing a bunch of pound raw 0x whatever commands. The only difference is that we need to type pound raw word, then the hex value of the item that we want to sell. I've filled out the list of items. If you reference the list of item hex values available for download in my Exchanging Possessions video's description, you should be able to decode that this PokéMart is selling a potion, a Pokeball, and an antidote respectively. Just like how we need the pound raw 0xFE at the end of movements, we need the pound raw word 0x0 at the end of PokéMart items. That's all there is to it. Let's check it out in game. After speaking with the NPC, the PokéMart process begins. We can seek and buy items here while the command takes care of all the dirty work for us. While we select the buy option, you might notice that the overworld palette becomes messed up. This is because the game is actually expecting us to be in a PokéMart building when the transaction is happening. It's not a big deal, but if you can't seem to get past it, simply place your NPC in a PokéMart building instead of a map that uses different tile sets and palettes. Now we're going to cover the game's currency system. This means that we're going to learn how to do all of the dirty work ourselves regarding taking money, showing money, and giving money. In order to do this in a smooth manner, we're going to make a custom merchant script. When we speak to this merchant, he'll offer to sell us an item. He'll give us two choices to pick from, each having an associated cost. I'll be going over the different money commands as we progress through the script. So far, the merchant asks us if we want to look at his inventory. If we say no, the script will end. If we say yes, the script will jump to the @view inventory section. Simple enough. We'll want to display the player's current amount of money in the white money box that appears at the top left of the screen. To do this, type show money 0x0, 0x0, 0x0. The first two parameters correspond to the x and y coordinates of the box. The third parameter should always be set to 0x0. After displaying the player's money, the merchant should start to list off his items. The first item he will mention is a potion and the second item is an antidote. If the player selects no for both of these offers, then there's no point in keeping the money box up anymore. Therefore, we need to close it and end the script. Type hide money 0x0, 0x0. This will hide the money box at the specified coordinates. Looking through what we've done so far, the possibility that the player decides not to buy anything has been taken care of. We now need to go back and implement the possibility that the player decides to buy a potion. We need to whip up the @buy potion pointer section. The merchant will say that will be 500 Pokédollars. To do this, type check money 0x1f4, 0x0. This command will check if the player has the specified amount of cash. This cash value of 0x1f4 is written in hex. You can easily convert 500 from hexadecimal to decimal using XSE's built-in calculator. The 0x0 parameter should always be set to 0x0. We don't want to check if the player has exactly 500 Pokédollars. We want to check if the player has at least 500 Pokédollars. To do this, we'll use the 0x4 value in our if command instead of 0x1. I explained how inequalities worked in my Exchanging Possessions tutorial. If the player doesn't have at least 500 Pokédollars, the money box will close and the script will end. Let's make the @has enough pointer section for the possibility that the player does have enough money to buy the potion. We need to take away 500 Pokédollars from the player. In order to do this, type pay money 0x1f4 0x0. The second parameter should always be set to 0x0. Taking money from the player does work, but the pay money command doesn't automatically update the money box display. To update the amount of money shown, type update money 0x0, 0x0, 0x0. The first two parameters correspond to the X and Y positions of the money box, respectively. The third should always be set to 0x0. After that, I'll use a short pause, hide the money box, then end the script. This has been quite a large script, but we're still not done. We need to go back and implement all of the possibilities regarding the player buying an antidote, since we've only done the potion so far. I'll fill that part out since it's essentially the same thing as what we just did together. I'll be selling the antidote for 300 Pokédollars instead of 500 Pokédollars like the potion. Viewing the result in game, all of the money commands work out okay. Let's watch for a moment as my stupid mistake becomes apparent, which you probably already know about. Yeah, there were two dumb mistakes here. The first is that the dollar symbol didn't show up in the dialogue boxes. The second is that the player was never actually given any items. To be fair, all we have to do to fix the second error is go back and add the give item command twice, which you should know how to do by now. I'll save the first mistake for the application demonstration. That's everything that I plan to discuss in this tutorial. Using the information we've learned, we will create a script in which a PokéMart stocks up on items as more and more badges are obtained. I'll be using the list of special flags in this script to give the player badges, which you can find in my History Never Repeats Itself tutorial. Before I talk about the dollar symbol error, I want to go over an additional command that deals with money. That is the give money command. Give money has two parameters, the first being the amount to give to the player and the second being 0x0. It's pretty much the opposite of pay money, but it works in the same way. It's really useful for scripts in which the player is able to sell his or her items instead of buy them. Actually, that could be a great exercise for you to brush up on your newly acquired money and exchanging possessions skills. When we were displaying the merchant's dialogue on screen, the dollar symbol never appeared. There are some symbols and groupings of characters that aren't able to be displayed by simply typing them out. To compensate for this, we can use an escape character that I have yet to mention, which is /h. This escape character denotes a hex value of some symbol or grouping. The particular hex values of these symbols and groupings can be found in the video's description. The dollar symbol has a hex value of B7, so instead of actually typing the dollar symbol out in the earlier script, we would type /h B7, and a dollar symbol would be substituted there when displayed in game. Since this application demonstration is taking a while, I'll go over a few more miscellaneous things. You know that #raw command we keep using for seemingly random things like movements in PokéMart items? That command can actually call any command available in XSE. In fact, that's the whole point of the command, to act as a universal caller with an ambiguous name. Every command has a hex value associated with it, which we can see in XSE's built-in command helper. If you scroll down to the warp command and click on it, you'll see a hex value of 0x39 next to it. We can use this hex value to call the warp command through the #raw command. For instance, typing #raw 0x39 on a line of its own will call the warp command. You just have to remember any parameters the command takes and type those on the same line as the #raw. Anyway, it's not a super important thing, but it's a thing nonetheless. We're about at the end of creating the script. Everything that went into making this has been taught to you through this tutorial. Hopefully you all learned something valuable from this, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask either over at PokéCommunity or right here in my video's comments section. Thank you so much for being my audience, and I'll be back in the 18th installment of this series.